Hey everybody, this is Lance from Janice S. Baker and Associates in Atlanta, Georgia. Should you have any needs for court reporting or video for depositions, please check the link in the description. Today's video is about Zoom video conferencing, and I'm hoping to make it real simple for you. I'm going to go over a few of the features, the settings, and some troubleshooting. And we're going to start right out with joining a meeting. And what you will see from the office is a link similar to this. And in this case, you would be joining a meeting. In other words, the client is somewhere else hosting the meeting. So when you click it, it is going to go right into your browser and give you these options: computer, phone, and video conference system. We're not going to talk about this one today, but we will talk a little bit about the phone option and of course the computer option, which would be the most common. So I'm going to go ahead and click that, join as participant, and it's going to give you the option to either download the software or to open it if you have already downloaded it. So I have already downloaded it, obviously, so it's given me the option to do something else. So I'm just going to get rid of that and go ahead and get rid of this, and go ahead and get rid of the email. And we have literally already joined by clicking that link and downloading. It really is that simple to join, and a lot of times that'll be the case, and it is the most simple. But now we will move on to hosting. Right here is the main box when you open the software. The only item missing here is start meeting. It'll actually say start with video, and I have already started the meeting, so that button is missing. So we've already jumped to starting the meeting. But what I'll jump to now is inviting people from the hosting end to join said meeting. So when I click invite, it'll go into these contacts that you may or may not already have in your system, but more often than not, it'll be email addresses that have been provided to you in the email from the client. So I'll click default email, which for me is on the Mac, and right here it'll show you the actual link. So you can cut, copy, and paste that link, and it'll take anybody right to this meeting. And also, if they've never done any of this before with Zoom, then this will also prompt them to download the software, and that'll be for computer, iPad, or phone. All right. There's another option here. If somebody just wants to go by phone, they can start with one of these phone numbers, and they just won't have any video. But conversely, if they join the traditional way with the first link, then they also will have the option to just hide their video but still have audio. We'll get a little bit more into the phone option here in a minute. So let me close that back out. All right, so now we're about to start the meeting, and we just need to know what all these little buttons are down here. So obviously mute is mute. That comes in handy for the lawyers in between takes, if you will, when you're on a break, when the discussions do not wish to be heard from either party. So muting is obvious. You can also do the same thing with video, but when the video goes out, you do not mute the audio automatically. You would have to do both, okay? So this comes in handy, say somebody has some work to do, they're not heavily involved in the discussion of the deposition, and they literally just want to listen in. All right, so we'll get the video back there. The next one, actually we covered invite. That is really simple. Manage participants. If you click that, you can, I guess you can just stop their video. You can rename it. You can put them on hold. You can actually remove them from the meeting. I don't use that one a whole heck of a lot, okay? The next one would be record. I'm not going to click it right now, but and close this window. There we go. Record will come in handy one day. You can actually add timestamp to it and get a full video recording from exactly what you're looking at right now. And of course, court reporters can record straight to their own hard drive or to the cloud, and therefore they would also have the audio for going back and listening to the testimony. That is really about it for the lower portion. Up here you can obviously go full screen, which I tend to do, and then also you can go gallery view, which I believe is what we're on. No, now we're on gallery view, and as many people who are participating will pop up in this screen. So obviously each one would get smaller and smaller and smaller depending on how many you have. But if I go back here, you can also change the view within each participant here too, so if that makes sense. So you have a few options there. I tend to keep it on the gallery view like this, because if you're the witness, you don't need to necessarily be sitting there staring at yourself the whole time. You can actually see what would be the taking attorney, which would be this one in this case. Just so you have a better view of who you're talking to rather than looking at yourself. Okay, I'm just going to exit out of that and go back to that. For the purposes of this video, you need to see me. So that's about it for settings on this screen. There's not a whole lot there. It's really simple. I will just point out where to end the meeting is right here in the lower right corner. When you're back on the home box here, settings right here, if you click that, will open your preferences box, okay? And this is a fairly important one, where you have a few different options. The first one being the microphone. You can manually turn it up and down right here, or you can do automatic adjustment. I tend to keep it in this range for my computer because the person is going to be so close in proximity to the device that if it's this loud and we're this close, it tends to not pick up as much in the background. For example, air conditioners or other ambient noise that might be in a room. You can also test the mic. Let me click this button. Testing the mic 1, 2. Testing the mic 1, 2. Alright, so you just get confirmation that it is indeed working. And the same thing up here for the speaker to make sure that you are going to hear. Alright, so in that scenario, you're just reaffirming that they will hear you and that you will hear them. Alright, so what else here? That's about it for that screen. As far as these buttons down here, don't worry too much about that. These are optional. You can play with those and just see what works for you. It's really about muting and such, so that's all. It's all just the functionality that is optional. It's not really important to the rest of it. On video here, one important one is down here, Enable HD. I just leave that off because it uses up bandwidth and turns out to be problematic most of the time, depending on the room you're in and the quality of the Wi-Fi. I'm going to point something out. That other screen that just came up to my name, that is on my cell phone, and my cell phone just started ringing. So a nice feature of this is that if your phone rings on the other end and you're in this meeting, you can go blank and still actually answer the phone. You just want to make sure that your audio is off. Other buttons here, touch up my appearance. I'm going to lean in a little bit. Right now the touch up appearance is on. I want to turn it off. And you can see how much kind of more detail it has with that button off. But I tend to leave it on because, well, it looks a little bit better. These other ones down here are, again, just optional. The spotlight, my video when I speak, is nice because it helps the court reporter determine who is indeed speaking, and it'll put this little green box that's around me right now around whomever is speaking. All right. Again, there's a recording button. These are the settings for that. Again, we're not going to get into that today, but eventually this is a feature that could come in handy. So let me just get rid of that and go back here. This other me here is my iPhone, like I mentioned, and one of the troubleshooting issues is just helping the people on the other end work their iPhone or iPad. There's not that many features to it. Basically, what they're going to do is swipe right to mute their phone or turn themselves off. I'm going to do that right now. So when I swipe automatically, my video goes away. So again, if I'm working in the background, people don't need to see me fiddling around with whatever I'm doing. And also, if I press and hold the screen, or rather tap it, there's some functionality where I can again stop video, or I can join audio or mute audio and whatnot. So that's really all there is to the iPad and the iPhone. You can switch between front and rear camera on that as well. All right, so a little bit about the function, or excuse me, about the troubleshooting. The main thing is the bandwidth. So I always carry a Ethernet cable with me, actually several of them. And if I can get to a modem, I will plug right into the modem and then into the side of my laptop and just avoid the whole Wi-Fi thing. That tends to work the best. You can't always do that, so you might just be stuck with the bandwidth that is available to you. And that's okay too, because one workaround for that is to actually have the participants, mainly it's going to be the deponent and the taking attorney, obviously, but sometimes you may need to ask others to do this, which is turn off their microphone and their speakers, and then call into the meeting using the phone feature, which I talked about earlier. There's always a phone number in that email when you share it. So they can call that number, whether it be the phone in the room or your cell phone, and that saves bandwidth. It really does help save on the amount of information going through the system, and it makes the video less jumpy, and the audio tends to be better actually anyway. So, and along those lines, I always carry one of these, which is just a speaker for listening to music or whatnot. This one happens to be a speaker phone. Through this system, the microphone doesn't work, but the speaker does, and it just makes the audio a little bit better. But if you're using your cell phone to dial in and talk, then that definitely helps make all that sound a lot better rather than using the speaker from the cell phone. And another note, when you're doing that, you're going to want to turn everything on your cell phone off, mainly your notifications, as to not interrupt the proceedings. So I hope this has helped a little bit to help your Zoom meetings run a little bit smoother and to understand some of the functionality and some of the troubleshooting. And if not, my information will also be in the description below. I'm always available for questions, and I hope everybody has a good day. Thanks.